Hello, people of the internet and of YouTube. This is Mr. Snow here again, bringing you guys another deck profile. This time it is not going to be Six Samurai, nor is it going to be an extremely casual of one of my daughter's decks that we are currently working on. This is instead Tenyis. Tenyis are pretty cool. I like them. They kinda sorta do what the Six Samurai do, which is, you know, they flood the field with monsters and allow you to just kind of spit up the extra deck, but they don't do it nearly as well in my opinion. However, they do have a lot of other nifty effects. One huge advantage I would say that the Tenyi have over the Six Samurai is the Six Samurai relies on a normal summon to get anything to happen. Tenyis, on the other hand, nah. They pretty much all special summon themselves. Like if you can play your cards right and you can play the turn right, you don't normal summon at all that turn. So it's really cool. But we're just gonna start with our Tenyi lineup. I'm just gonna go ahead and show all of them at once. They're all in threes, so I'm just gonna stack them up. Where can you see it? Right there. And yeah, that's it. Alright. So you have the 6 Tenyi spirits, one for each attribute. We will start with the top 3. Well, actually, we'll start with. So they all share a common effect. If you control no face-up effect monster, or if you control, how do they phrase it? If you control no face-up effect monster, you can special summon these guys for free, essentially. So let's say it's the beginning of the turn. It's the beginning of the turn, I don't even have a single card on the board, and I've got this guy in my hand. I can say, boom, I'm going to activate his effect. I can special summon him out and start doing everything. The also thing is, like, maybe I have got something on the board, like, for example, Monk of the Tenyi. Monk of the Tenyi is a normal monster. He is a non-effect monster. So again, I could say, alright, I got that face-up non-effect monster, I'm going to special summon Adhara now. Or Ashina, whatever names of these cards. So that's the shared effect for all of them. The individual effects, they all rely somehow on a face-up non-effect monster. So take Shatana, something, however you pronounce it, the water one. If a face-up non-effect monster or monsters is destroyed by battle or card effect, banish this, bring one of them back. Alright, it's a little bit of recovery. For this one, if a face-up non-effect monster would be targeted by card effect, you banish this, negate, and destroy. During battle with a face-up non-effect monster, you banish this from hand or graveyard, and you do attack manipulation. You lower it by 1500. This is the one that matters the least, obviously, because attack manipulation really, like, I can't. Like, attack manipulation, I think the last time it mattered was when the game first came out and I was first playing this in high school, you know? But that's whatever. Vishuddha bounces. Now, Vishuddha's effect is kind of different. It doesn't have to target, you know, a face-up non-effect monster. You just have to have a face-up non-effect monster on the board to do this. So he bounces. Ashina is the same way. If you have a face-up non-effect monster on the board, what Ashina does is Ashina banishes himself and special summons any of these 5 guys from the deck. Special summons it to the board to let you keep going. Adhara is arguably the best. One, like I've been talking about, all these five activate their secondary effect by banishing themselves from the graveyard. Adhara brings them back. So Adhara banishes himself to bring one of those banished cards back onto the board. The other important thing is Adhara is also a tuner. He's a level 1 Earth tuner. So that lets you, he's what lets you go into your synchro plays. So that's the gist of the Tenyi spirits. Like I said, one for each attribute. The main thing to remember is they some way, shape, or form require face-up non-effect monsters on the board. So if you do not have a face-up, so if all you have are effect monsters, you cannot use any of their effects. Alright, let's move on. We are running 2 Mystery Shell Dragons. They're vanilla worms. They're vanilla non-effect monster worms, 2,000 attack. They're just pretty strong. And like I said, with the Tenyi spirits, you tend not to have to need a normal summon, so you can do all your shenanigans with these guys, and then say, you know what? All right, now I'm going to normal summon this guy. So that's kind of how that works. But there's not much to say about them other than they're vanilla worms, so you can use Tenyi powers. Next up, we have one Mare. You only, like, legit, you only need one in the deck. And I will explain later with a card called Shaman of the Tenyi. But what Mare does is, if he is special summoned through a card effect, you can use his effect, which is to up to 3 times per turn, you can lower his level by 1 and create a token. He is also a tuner, so you can bring him down to a level. You can bring him down to a level 4 tuner, and if you got one of your other guys on the board, you can play your Synchro Draco Destroyer. But anyway, you can do the Synchro Summon with him really well. You can do the Synchro Summon, or you can start making link plays because he's going to put 4 cards on the board essentially. So that's him. Finally, we have our hand traps. 3 Ash Blossoms. This is kind of like... See, with Dual Overload coming out, like, I'm switching, like, my main 6 Samurai deck, I've switched in Infinite Impermanence because, you know, it's actually available to get now. So, I don't have enough Infinite Impermanence, otherwise I definitely would be throwing 3 Infinite Impermanence in here. So this is just kind of like my next favorite thing as far as hand traps go. So, Ash Blossom. He goes second. Hopefully you can destroy what your opponent is going to do. Alright. Spell cards. Vessel for the Dragon Cycle. Vessel for the Dragon Cycle is really good. It's essentially a Foolish Burial for worms. And the bonus is, if you have a face-up non-effect monster on the board, like Monk of the Tenyi, like Mystery Shell Dragon, you know, stuff like that, you not only get to pitch something to the graveyard, but you also get to add a Tenyi Spirit to your hand. So what you do, what the optimal thing to do is you put Mare in the graveyard, and then add, like, Adhara or Ashna or something like that to your hand, so that you can continue making plays with that. It's a hard once per turn, too, so you don't, yeah. Hard once per turn, which is good, because it doesn't need any more than that. Finally, we're going to do our one-shot spells. Foolish Burial. Toss Mare into the grave. Toss one of your Tenyi Spirits into the grave so they can start activating their effects. Pretty simple. Monster Reborn. Combo Extender. Terraforming. It helps you get your field spell. And we will see the field spell coming up shortly. Call by the Grave. This is essentially a combo deck. You want to keep Call by the Grave so that you can somewhat secure your combos, even though this does not work on Infinite Impermanence. We are running 2 Flawless Perfection of the Tenyi. Like I said, we got the Terraforming in there, so we're kind of sort of running 3 of them essentially. But Flawless Perfection of the Tenyi. If you have a face-up non-effect monster on the board and your opponent special summons something, you get to draw 2 cards. So it's a very conditional pot of greed. The other effect is non-effect monsters you control are unaffected by your opponent's card effects. So your Berserker of the Tenyi can't get Lightning Stormed. Or, no, it can't get Lightning Stormed because it's monster effects. My apologies. What would be another description I'm looking for then? Okay, so like if this was fighting 6 Samurai, you know, I'm going to use something I'm familiar with. Your Berserker of the Tenyi couldn't be Mizuho'd, essentially. It wouldn't work. So it's a very little bit of protection on some very specific cards, but other than that, it's a pot of greed. Next, we are going to get into our spell, or our traps. We run 5 traps. We run 2 Waterfall of Dragon Souls. It's either a search or draw card. So you can either add 1 worm to your hand, which is going to be any of the cards in your main deck right here, or you can discard or send to the graveyard. What does it specifically say? Send any number of worm-type monsters from your hand or the face-up on your field to the graveyard, and you draw cards equal to that +1. So if I send, for example, Mare from my hand to the graveyard, I would get to draw 2. If I have Mare on the board and I got all 4 of those tokens and I play this, boom, I draw 5. It's pretty cool. And then your final 3 are Fist of the Unrivaled Tenyi. Fist of the Unrivaled Tenyi is like kind of like the archetype-specific Solemn Judgment. So again, you require a face-up non-effect monster because that's kind of how these guys work. So if you have a face-up non-effect monster, your opponent activates basically anything. You play this, negate and destroy. If this is face down and it gets destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can go through your extra deck and summon up a vanilla monster. Link, Synchro, Xyz, Fusion, doesn't matter. As long as it is a non-effect monster, you can boom, play it on the board. I've heard the typical strategy to do that with is Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. However, I do not have one, so there's that. All right, we're going on to the extra deck. I have these fancy sleeves right here. Woo. We're running 3 Monks of the Tenyi because he is a vanilla normal monster. Link 1. He's how you kind of just get your combos going. So you would special summon one of your Tenyi spirits. Link him into this, and then because he is a non-effect monster, you can start using your Tenyi Spirits effects or special summon more of them. So, pretty easy, pretty basic. I'm going to put that over here, actually. 2 Shaman of the Tenyi. This is actually, like, I'm going to call this the oil, the gear in the oil. Or the oil in the gear. You know, the analogy I'm freaking making up in my head. So, Shaman of the Tenyi's big effect is you discard a card and you special summon a worm from the graveyard. Trick with that is, this is going back to Mare. This is why I was saying you only need 1 Mare in the deck. So, let's say Mare is in the deck. You Foolish Burial it, something like that. You do something else to get it in the graveyard before you summon Shaman of the Tenyi. Well, now you discard something, bring out Mare, flood your board with tokens, and you're good to go for your next plays. Let's say Mare is in your hand. You discard the Mare, and it's in the graveyard now. It's the same as it's the same idea as Cunning of the Sixth Samurai. It's in the graveyard now. You can boom, pull it back up, special summon it, get his effect. See what I mean? That's the primary thing you're going to be using Shaman of the Tenyi for. So, moving on. Then we do 2 Draco Masters of the Tenyi. Draco Masters of the Tenyi is a Link 3. It's really cool. So, the idea with it is, judging by the number of face-up non-effect monsters on the field or in the graveyard, once per turn on your turn, you blow up cards on your opponent's side equal to the number you have. So let's say you've got 3 Monks of the Tenyi and your 2 Mystery Shell Dragons and your Berserker of the Tenyi in the graveyard, or on the field, you know, some way, shape, or form, however that works. You're going to blow up 6 cards. Or let's say you got those Mare tokens. Those are non-effect monsters. Those are face-up non-effect monsters. So 6 plus those 3, you can blow up 9 cards. I don't really see any way you're going to get to that level of an extreme, but that's the idea. We do 1 Berserker of the Tenyi. He's just kind of a generic level 3,000 attack guy. He's really there. You wanna have him somewhere in your end board because he is a face-up non-effect monster, and you can use your Tenyi effects. Tenyi Spirits. I don't know how to pronounce that guy's name. Sahasraraba? I don't know. Sarashila from Link to the Past? I don't know. What he does is, you pick one of your enemies, you pick an enemy monster, you make a token of it with the same stats, basically. It's a worm. So, he's a good going second option. You wouldn't want to throw him out going first, but he's a good going second option. He's, again, 3,000 attack, and Link 4, and my god, like, take a look at it. The arrows on the Tenyi cards suck. I'm just throwing that out there. We are running 2 Draco Berserker of the Tenyi. He's kind of like an all-purpose negate, and he's one of your win conditions, essentially. Like, so let's say he, let me reread this real quick. Is it specific? Yeah, it has to specifically be an effect monster, which most of the monsters you're going to run into are effect monsters. I don't really think there's any, like, viable vanilla normal monster decks out there, but I could be wrong. So he fights an effect monster, kills it. Gains, was it all of their attack or half their attack? Yeah, he gains all their attack, and he can make a second attack. It's a potential Oko. It's a potential one-shot. He also gets to he also gets to negate monster effects. He negates and destroys it. So he's a one-turn negate, and he's a potential he's a potential game ender. I'm running 2 of them. It's possible to get them both on the board. I wouldn't say it's likely, but it is possible. So if you can get 2, awesome. Now we're getting into like the one-shots. Another guy I can't pronounce, Land for he's another just generic level. He's another non-effect monster. Decent arrows, helps you extend plays, and he's a non-effect monster, so you can use your Tenyi abilities. Tri-Gate Wizard. I'll be honest, I don't know why I threw him in there. I think just because he's negates. So for those of you not familiar with Tri-Gate Wizard, let's say I've got a Link monster here, a Link monster here, and a Link monster here, and they all have arrows pointing to his arrows, so they're co-linked. He gets additional effects based on that. So the big one is if he's got 3, he gets a 1-turn negate. He gets a 1-turn quick effect negate. I just dropped something. He'll get that 1-turn quick effect negate, so it's another negate on the board. If he's got 2, he gets to banish something. And if he's got 1, I don't even remember because it never comes into effect. It never comes into effect. Like I said, I don't really know why I have him in there because most of the arrows suck with the Tenyis, and I'm relying on pretty much Borlo Dragon, Mech Knight, and then something up top. So he might come out, or I might just have to redo my links to make him more viable. But like I said, this has not been tested in locals, so hey, first time preliminary. This is why we're doing this. We can get our suggestions. I'm just gonna go ahead and do the last 2 together: Borload and Mech Knight. 2 big, powerful level 4 monsters. The only problem is they're kind of difficult. Like I could see myself getting rid of both of them. They're kind of sort of difficult to summon in this deck because if you use the effects of Tenyi Spirit Ashina, the light one, you're locking yourself into only being able to special summon worms, which he's a Cyberse, he's a dragon, so you don't get either one of them. But Borload and Mech Knight, you should know what they do by now. I've talked about Mech Knight at great length in my other videos with the 6 Samurai, but I'm going to end this right here. Like I said in the title of this, extremely casual Tenyi deck preliminary screening. Throw your suggestions in the comments section, because like I said, I haven't been able to test this at locals, and the online simulators, I don't like them because you have to keep clicking like, no, I don't want to do this, or no, you know, I have to keep clicking, do I want to activate a card effect every 2 seconds, and it gets old fast. So yeah, happily taking your comments, happily taking your suggestions in the comment section. Whenever coronavirus blows over, hopefully soon, I will be able to test this at locals. Just on my own personal opinion, I don't think it's going to be nearly as strong as my 6 Samurai deck, but like I said, the huge advantage it has over the 6 Samurai strategy is it really doesn't have to normal summon. So you can pretty much just keep going so long as you've got a good hand, you can keep going. But it also requires more specific hands to get the best combos out there than 6 Samurai. So, alright, that's all I got for you. Appreciate you watching, and hopefully you put your comments in. Hopefully you put something in the comments section. Maybe throw something in there, take something out, and yeah, that'll be it. Y'all have a great day, and hope you're staying safe.